or construction. Only the city council makes the decision. If any item is denied, the applicant has 10 calendar days to file a written appeal with the planning department. The appeal will then be acted upon by the city council. If you're here to speak for or against an item, please state your name and address. For the record, comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less. All the extensions of time may be granted by the chair upon request, and of course, you'll need to come to the microphone in order to do that. In preparation for these meetings, we always have a workshop, and those workshops are open to the public, like all of our meetings are. In that meeting, the next workshop will be November 15th at 1:30 p.m. In the large development center across the street, the large conference room. The first item is consideration of minutes from our last meeting. Commissioners had an opportunity to review those. Any changes, corrections? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from October 4th, 2022.
Second.
Motion's been made to approve those minutes. Any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. The first item on our agenda, Z22054 C&O acquisitions was tabled at our last meeting, and so the proper procedure is for that item to be removed from the table. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we remove from the table Z22-054.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Any person here who'd like to speak on this item? If not, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This item has been, my understanding, Kyle, this item's been withdrawn. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So there's no further actions required.
Correct.
The next item is PD 22-021 Bellwood 323. Kyle?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This request is a final site plan request for the PCD Planned Commercial District. This is located, this is the Bellwood Park area, just west of Earl Campbell and the West Loop 323. This is a proposal to develop this part of the property, which is generally along Loop 323 and the intersection of Earl Campbell Parkway. The proposal is to allow for the development of a shopping center as well as some multifamily housing on the north side of the property. There is a site plan that's associated with this proposal. The adjacent properties are generally commercially used. There's a mixture of light industrial zoning as well as commercial zoning in the area. This request is consistent with the future land use guide. It's not a zone change, it's just the final site plan for the property showing how the property will be developed. The property, the overall 500 or some odd acres was rezoned in 2008 to PCD with just to establish the design guidelines or the design and general standards for the entire development. And so the proposal you see, or the site plan you see in front of you is consistent with the adopted standards from 2008. And so as you can see here, they are proposing the development of the frontage along Loop 323 with some retail and restaurant uses, and then some larger retail to the west of that area. Then on the north side is the development of multifamily units to serve as that mixture of uses for that property. The site plan does propose the extension of Robertson Road into the development, as well as Whiteside Road, which runs north to south and currently dead ends into this area, and so it is a continuation of that to connect those streets. And then also on the southwest side is an extension Earl Campbell Parkway as you move further to the west. The staff did review the proposed site plan, and we did receive a traffic impact analysis from the applicant requested by staff due to the expected number of trips to be generated from this development. And so we, as of today, we did receive, we have reviewed it. There were some modifications made to the site plan in accordance with the recommendations from the TIA, or traffic impact analysis, and so this does incorporate those elements. Of the notices that were sent out, 0 were returned in favor or in opposition to the request, and and staff does recommend approval of the site plan amendment as shown.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Any questions for city staff? If not, it looks like Chris Anderson is here.
I'm just the owner's representative here, but at y'all's pleasure, if you have any questions.
All right, let the record show Chris Anderson, 10210 North Central in Dallas is here and available for questions. Any questions from Mr. Anderson? If not, Mr. Priester?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark Priestner, 1121 East Southeast Loop 323. As Kyle pointed out, this is the first phase of this development. It's 500 and some odd acres, so we're starting the process of moving back. This is kind of more traditional commercial, as you would see, because of it being on the frontage. As Kyle pointed out, we did a traffic impact analysis and met with staff and have addressed looking at adding additional turn lanes and things like that for not only this development, but also looking in the future. So as you start looking at where the roads connect out, all of this will tie together, and as we continually kind of extend Earl Campbell to the west. So it's a good development. Again, this is kind of the more traditional commercial, if you want to call it that. As we kind of move west, it's going to move more into urban style development, and it's got residential components as well. So it's an exciting project. We're finally getting this off the ground, and be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions from Mr. Priester? Mark, thanks for your time and presence here. Those are the only two persons who signed up to speak. Are there others in the room who would like to speak on this zoning item for or against? If not, is there a commissioner who'd like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve PD 22-021.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The item's approved. Next is Z22-063, Christine Vasquez, 1709 Pinecrest Drive.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself from this item, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Let the record show that Mr. Reed's left the room. Caleb?
Yes. Okay, this is a zoning change request from PMF, Planned Multifamily, to POD, Planned Office District at 1709 Pinecrest Drive. The applicant is requesting the zone change in order to develop the property with office and commercial use. The adjacent properties to the north and to the west are zoned PCD, Planned Commercial District, and is developed with commercial retail centers. The adjacent properties to the east are zoned PMF, Planned Multifamily District, and R1D, Single Family Detached and Attached Residential District, and are developed with a quadplex, that's what the PMF is, and single family homes. The adjacent properties to the south are zoned R1D, Single Family Detached and Attached Residential, and are developed with single family homes. The future land use guide identifies this property as being townhouse/garden apartment. This request would amend the future land use guide to match the commercial to the north, which would be general commercial. This is the property. And this is along Pinecrest a majority of the property kind of falls to the west of there. So the applicant's proposing to develop the property with light commercial and office use. The property would be required to have shared access with the Planet Fitness, which is that yellow building right there directly to the north. And wouldn't be able to have a separate driveway running off of Pinecrest. As of what the staff has received, we haven't received a shared parking or shared access agreement yet. The property would generally be restricted to uses that are permitted in an RPO, Restricted Professional Office District. That way it sort of acts as a transition from the commercial directly to the south to the heavier commercial. Another restriction would be that any structure on the property would be restricted to be 1 story in height, whereas most other commercial zonings would allow for up to 2 stories or 42 feet. But with the planned district, we'd require 1 story in order to not dwarf over the single-family homes directly to the south. In addition, with POD, a type B buffer yard is required between a POD and an R1D zoning, although that can always be more strictly enforced if necessary. Of the 27 notices that were sent out, no notices were returned in favor and 1 was returned in opposition to the request for a protest calculation of 1.87. The protest was generally against the idea of a larger structure being placed in the back, as well as some concerns with the actual development of the site, as there is, it's not an even site the entire way. It's a little hard to tell in this picture, but towards the back it kind of is a little higher up than it is elsewhere. So there's some concerns with that as well. Staff has reviewed the request and is still needing some additional information to be submitted. So staff recommends tabling this item for 30 days to be addressed at the next planning and zoning meeting.
All right, Caleb, thank you. Any questions for city staff? If not, Robert Bruce, Mr. Bruce, would you like to speak?
Yes,
Please come to the microphone.
thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm representing myself and 2 adjacent neighbors to the property, the Diaz family at 1719 Pinecrest, David and Martha Moan at 1715 Pinecrest, and I live at 1721 Pinecrest. Caleb answered a lot of my questions, and we have 3 main areas of concern. We're not objecting to a commercial property there. We have a little bit of a concern that initially they were going for a C1 light commercial. We don't want anything noisy, busy retail, and especially anything commercially zoned in Tyler can be 42 feet high, and it's literally in our backyards. And that raises privacy concerns as well as devaluation of our properties. And we don't object to quiet office suites or a similar site use narrative. We also respectfully request a commitment to restricting any structures on this property to no more than 1 standard story in height. And the reason we lodge this as an objection is we don't have a site narrative yet really to object to or to approve. So we just need more information. Thank you for your consideration. And I'd also like this letter entered.
If you'd turn that in. Mr. Bruce, thank you for your time and presence here. Any questions for Mr. Bruce?
I have a question for Kyle.
Kyle?
Kyle, what are the buffer requirements for this?
It's a
Sure.
type B buffer yard, which has 3 different options, I believe. Generally for the buffer yard, it's either a smaller, like 10-foot area that's more heavily packed with trees, or requires a fence in addition to landscaping, or it's a wider area with more spread out, larger trees. When they come to develop, that'll be enforced with a landscaping plan, and if they're meeting one of the 3 options for that, then that would be.
Pamela, does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely.
Mr. Bruce is the only person who I have who signed up to speak. Are there others here who would like to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am. If you'd come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Christine Vasquez, 312 County Road 279. And we are going to build just single-story structures. My office is an accounting firm, and so we're pretty quiet other than tax season, but the hours are between 8 and 4 that we have people coming in. And we would like similar-minded businesses to be with us. I have a nurse practitioner whose lease will be up, so I'm hoping maybe to get her to be a tenant for us and just do 2 or 3 office buildings because it's 1.6 acres.
All right, thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for you? The staff recommendation is to table this for 30 days, and in case there are other questions that need to be answered. Is that something you can live with?
Yes, my bank wants me to refinance as soon as we get this approved, so the sooner the better, but we'll do what we have to do.
Okay. Thank you for your time and presence. Mr. Bruce, did you?
I have one,
Please come to the microphone.
oh, I'm sorry. I have one other question, which Caleb touched on, which is this site has a rather substantial grade from the north to the south. And since we moved into the property, it's a relatively new development on the edge of an older Rosewood development. We've experienced quite a bit of drainage problems because of that, and I would be interested to see how those are going to be handled in the new property. Because if something is going to be 1 story here, that's a different height at the top of the grade. But based on what Ms. Vasquez said, that sounds like you'd be great neighbors, as long as we can work the details out. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other persons here who'd like to? Yes, sir. Come to the. I don't see your name on here, but that's all right. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Brad Donnelly, and I'm representing YOLO Investments, which is the owner of Lot 18, Block 950, which is the left-hand side of that property. So we have the Tanglewood East Shopping Center. And let me give you a history lesson on this center, or this property. This used to be a lake, and prior to that, where all those single-family residences were built, used to be one single-family residence. The grading was all done, and when all that grading was done, we went from having no issues in our property to magically we had the need to have 3 sump pumps at our property. To the best of my knowledge, we've never figured out what the magical source of that is. At the end of the day, we went from no issue to an issue. So this drainage and issue has to be addressed, is what I'm asking for. So that is my overarching issue that I've never been able to have addressed. So, and I've spoke with, so we've had this conversation multiple times. So I objected when the single family came in. So, and here we are again. So.
All right, thank you for your time and presence. Lloyd?
So at this time, y'all, with heavy rains, y'all still have water coming onto your property because of damage?
As dry as we've been right now, we've not, there's still, those sump pumps will periodically kick on and they do their thing. So
So y'all have sump pumps installed on your property for
Yes.
those events?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there other persons here who'd like to speak on this item? If not, the staff recommendation is to table for 30 days. Is that right, Kyle?
Correct. Yes.
And Caleb, the reason you all suggest tabling it for 30 days is due to some of the issues like the neighbors stated with the drainage?
Not as much for the drainage. The drainage would be addressed during the engineering and construction of the development. Our primary concerns would be with the shared access, getting a shared access agreement with the property to the north. And that's probably the bigger of the two. And then just making sure we have a finalized site narrative that specifies that has the restrictions that we would
And the
like
shared access would be right behind the building in between the subject property and the Planet Fitness?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. And it needs 30 days for that.
Yes.
30 days is good?
Lloyd, any
Do
other?
you have an opportunity to allow the owners of the shopping center to be part of the civil piece, to look at the drain at this time, since it's been a problem in the past? And we're removing dirt that absorbs and putting more cement that allows water to flow?
Well, when they design the site to accommodate any existing conditions on the property, they will have to design for that. So, approval of just in general, approval of the zoning does not necessarily mean that it can be developed, without, a lot of work. It's just allowing them to proceed to that next step. So, I'm not sure, maybe that'd be more of a question for the applicant on whether they've, retained somebody to kind of look at that, before they get too much further. But, and then what other conversations they've had with the neighbor on maybe if 30 days is necessary, or if it might be better to do it for a little bit longer based off of where she's currently at. So I don't think we know that, but she is here to maybe answer that question for you.
Ms. Vasquez?
Let me just say that the issue here is zoning, and that's the point that we're
Yeah.
gonna vote on. Any other secondary, or that's not really the right word, issues can be dealt with by the parties in the interim. Any other persons here who'd like to address the zoning application? If not, the staff recommendation is to table for 30 days. Is Commissioner like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we table Z22-063 for 30 days.
Second? Sure, second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Items tabled for 30 days. Be sure, if you're interested in this item, be sure to mark your calendars. The next item is Z22-064, Jesus Nino Luis Zavala.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is a zone change going from R2, two-family residential, to R1B, single-family residential. It is located at the northeast intersection of West Glenwood Boulevard.
Hold on just a second, I forgot. Let me get Mr. Reed in the room. I'm sorry. My mistake. Start, we're now dealing with Z22-064 Zavala. Now, sorry, Jimmy.
That's okay. Huh? Oh, forgot me?
As hard as it is to believe.
It is hard.
All right, now.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I already told everyone else. Good afternoon. But good afternoon to you, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. I feel so welcome here.
Yes. So this is a zone change going from R2, two-family residential, to R1B, single-family residential district. It's located at the northeast intersection of West Glenwood Boulevard and Kennedy Avenue. The applicant is requesting a zone change to build a single-family home. As you can tell, to the west, north, and east is zoned R2, two-family residential. It is developed with single-family homes and a school administration building. To the south is zoned PMF, planned multifamily, and is the location of a church. The future land use guide identifies this as single-family, medium to low density, so it is consistent with the future land use guide. The applicant is requesting the zone change to develop the property with an additional single-family home. And the driveway access will be limited to Kennedy Avenue on the west They actually have submitted for moving the lot lines, so it'll run horizontally instead of vertically. And the second house will be on the southern portion. As of Friday, October 28th, 2022, of the 17 notices mailed, one notice was returned in favor and none in opposition. Staff has performed technical review of the zone change request and finds that it is generally consistent with the zone change approval criteria. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you. I don't have any, is there a person here who wishes to speak on this item, for or against? If not, the staff recommendation is to approve. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Z22-064.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this zoning change. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item's approved. That takes us down to the plat portion of our agenda. Kyle?
Yes, sir. This first item is a subdivision proposal for a 3-lot subdivision. This is in the ETJ just off of Highway 64 East. This time, the plat currently does not, all the review comments have not currently been addressed, and staff recommends denial of this plat.
Is there a person here who wishes to speak on this item, for or against? If not, the staff's recommendation is to deny. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we deny F22-130.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Plat's denied. Next is F22-131, Rolling Meadows West.
This is a proposal for a 58-lot subdivision. This is in the ETJ, just off of County Road 46, west of Tyler. It's for 58 lots. At this time, all comments have not been addressed by the applicant, and staff recommends denial of the plat.
Are there persons here who wish to speak on this plat? If not, the staff recommendation is to deny. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we deny F22-131.
Is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded to deny. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Plat's denied. Next is P22-037, Bellwood Addition.
This is an amendment of an approved preliminary plat. This is a plan for 18 lots in a 3-phase subdivision containing approximately 540 acres. This is generally just to adjust the first part of, or the easternmost part of the property in accordance with the site plan that was recently, recommended for approval today. And so staff recommends approval of this plat.
Great. Mr. Anderson, this is your item.
Again, just here at y'all's pleasure.
Record show that Mr. Anderson's here to answer questions. Any questions for Mr. Anderson? If not, staff recommendation, are there other persons who would like to speak on this item? If not, the staff recommendation is to approve. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, make a motion we approve item P22-037.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Plat's approved. Next is F22-086, Chima's Addition. Kima.
Kimas.
Thank
Yes.
you.
This is a 5-lot subdivision. This is just over an acre of land located near Lindsay Lane and Nell Avenue. The property is currently zoned R1D and C1. The purpose of the request is to adjust lot lines, and staff has reviewed this request and recommends approval of this plat.
Are there persons here who wish to speak on this plat? For or against? If not, is staff recommendations to approve. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve F 22-086.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Next is F 22-124 Oak Springs addition.
This is a 41 lot subdivision. This is in the ETJ, just off of Jonestown Road. The purpose of this plat is to subdivide this property into 41 lots. All review comments have been addressed and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Any questions for Kyle? Are there persons here who wish to speak on this item for or against? If not, staff recommendations to approve. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve F 22-124.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this plat. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Plat's approved. Next is F 22-126 Forest Ridge at the Crossing. And this is a consent plat.
Right, so staff recommends approval of this plat.
Staff recommends. Are there persons here who'd like to speak on this item? If not, the staff's recommendations to approve. Any discussion? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve F 22-126.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this plat. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That brings us to consent plats Group B. The following plat applications do not comply with the approval criteria in the City of Tyler Unified Development Code.
Right.
What's the best way for us to handle these? Can I just read them off, or do you?
I can read them off if that's preferred.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah, okay. So these plats, like you said, do not meet the criteria for approval, and therefore the staff recommends denial of these plats, which are P22030 North Park Estates preliminary, P22035 Sheffield Edition preliminary, F22127 Highway 64 Home Place final plat, F22128 Brookshire subdivision final plat, F22-129 CR 1100 edition final plat. And then also F22-134, the David Serna edition final plat, F22-132 Glenwood Heights Second Amendment final plat, and then F22-135 Swan Properties Fourth Amendment.
Thank you, Kyle. The staff recommendation is to deny all 8 of these plats because they do not meet criteria. Are there persons here who would like to speak on any one of them? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we deny consent plats Group B as stated.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny all 8 of these plats. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those 8 plats are denied. I think this is a land speed record. So we are adjourned. Jim Hensel.